of the City of Middletown Board of Health and Environment for August 12th, 2025. Would you please call the roll, Ms. McDonald?
Mayor Slanka?
Here.
Mr. Richmond?
Here.
Ms. Zipsey?
Here.
Ms. Baggett? Dr. Zollett?
Here.
Ms. Lawley?
Here.
Mr. Bonnell?
Here.
Ms. Miller?
Here.
Thank you. Do we have anyone absent? Who do we have absent? Okay, is there a motion to excuse Ms. Babbitt from the meeting today?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Mr. Pelkey?
Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
Ms. Zipsey?
Yes.
Dr. Zollett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawley?
Yes.
Mr. Bonnell?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
All right, thank you. The ayes have, the motion passes. Thank you, Ms. McDonald. At this time, we have citizen comments. Is there anybody here? No. All right, we'll continue. And we have the approval of the minutes, next item on the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from July 2025?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion about the minutes from July? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Ms. McDonald, please call the roll.
Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
Ms. Zipsey?
Yes.
Dr. Zollett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawley?
Yes.
Mr. Bonnell?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Yes, that motion passes. Next on our agenda is to receive and file our financial report also from July of 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion about the financial report? Anything at all? Questions, comments? All right, hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Ms. McDonald?
Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
Ms. Zipsey?
Yes.
Dr. Zollett? Ms. Lawley?
Yes.
Mr. Bonnell?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
All right, the yeses have it, and motion passes. Thank you. Next on our agenda is our educational presentation. Dr. Genoway.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So this morning, we're going to talk about Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. Usually, you know, I try to do something related to what's the public health topic of the month, but also kind of current events. So you'll hear later, we have one case of this from actually last month. But so I thought it'd be a good topic. It's very rare, quite interesting, quite devastating. But, so Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, pronounced with a Y instead of a J. So it's first described in 1920, almost simultaneously by two different researchers, Dr. Creutzfeldt and Dr. Jakob. So the disease was eventually named Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. It is a 100% fatal, incurable disorder with a very rapid progression. It is in the family of spongiform encephalopathy. So there's several of the categories that fall into this. This is the only one that really is spontaneous in humans. There are other animal diseases, which we'll kind of touch on slightly, but one is bovine spongiform encephalopathy, and then there's chronic wasting disorder that's in deer. They're all kind of a tied together family of protein malformations that cause these types of diseases. So in the human Creutzfeldt-Jakob, there's a classification of 4 different categories. Spontaneous, which is essentially just a spontaneous malformation of proteins, as we'll get into. Genetic, which is obviously a passed down family trait that puts you at much higher risk. Acquired, which means you acquired somewhere else. We'll talk about each of these a little bit more. And then the variant, which is actually the bovine category. So the cause is a prion. Prion, it's a very unique disease in that it's really not a living organism. It's not a virus, it's not a bacteria, it's not a fungus. It's a protein that abnormally folds from how it's supposed to normally be manufactured. So a protein is a 3D structure that is supposed to be kind of a key that fits into a lock on the target molecule or cell. And in this case, that protein folds abnormally and becomes destructive. And they call it infectious, even though, you know, if I have Creutzfeldt-Jakob, I can't give it to you as far as we think of infectious. But these malformed proteins go into the cell and then infect other proteins to then malform, and they just start to spread very rapidly in creating more chaos in the cell until it finally destroys the cell. So the symptoms usually start out fairly mild, kind of benign, with a little bit of confusion, a little bit of memory loss, maybe some speech difficulty, muscle twitching, but things that are kind of non-specific, but they rapidly progress to significant dementia-like symptoms, full-blown confusion, hallucinations, agitation, personality changes, seizures, and eventually death. The diagnosis, we were just talking about this a little bit ago. First thing is history and exam. I mean, the symptoms very much mirror dementia, essentially, but you hear a family member saying, gee, 2 months ago, he was completely healthy, and now he's got all these pretty significant problems that you normally wouldn't think that kind of progression with typical dementia. So it starts making you think of other problems, and as you're doing blood work, urine, the one big one you're gonna get is an MRI, and the MRI is gonna have very classic spongiform, or kind of almost looking like holes in the brain that are very characteristic of it. And EEG is also useful. There's epileptic form waves that about 50% of cases they describe have a very classic sign for this. Lumbar puncture looks for certain proteins that are connected to the prion, but the final diagnosis has to be by tissue biopsy, either after death or before death. Treatment, there is none. It's one of the devastating things about this. Once the diagnosis comes in, or as you suspect as you're going along, really the only thing you can do is supportive care. Things that can kind of calm down some of the agitation, maybe the hallucinations, supportive care. Most of them die from pneumonia because they're unable to clear the secretions because of their neurologic decompensation has been so rapid and so aggressive. And it's essentially calling in hospice to kind of try to keep things as comfortable as you can. The prognosis, as I said, is 100% fatal. In the spontaneous version, death is in 1 to 10 months. Most of them are less than 6 months. The average life expectancy from onset of symptoms in the spontaneous form is about 4 months. So it's very rapid. In the genetic version, where you have a family history of someone having it as well, it's a little longer. So they run more of an average of about 14 months from the onset of symptoms to death. But there was one genetic that lasted 10 years. Don't know why. He had an experimental treatment, but that experimental treatment, after multiple studies, showed not to have a significant change in outcomes. But he was by far the longest survivor. I think second to him, the second longest survivor was 2.5 years.
What's the genetic changes? I mean, how do you test them? I mean,
It's autosomal recessive to the males. So there is a genetic test for it, and I didn't know enough
Okay.
about it, but there is a genetic test you can do that will find it and identify
okay.
it. So epidemiology, historically it's been 1 to 2 per million, but in all the research I was doing, everybody kept describing it's getting more common, but they kept quoting the same 1 to 2 per million. So I think it's so rare and it's so small that even with a little bit of uptick, it's still falling within that same 1 to 2 per million. The classic age, again, for the spontaneous, is 55 to 65 years old. Been described as young as 30 and as old as 90, but the majority of patients are diagnosed at 55 to 65. And when you look at that category of people, it's actually about 3.5 per million. So clearly that age group is the much higher risk.
So that's 300 to 1,000 people in
Yeah.
the United States.
Yeah, per year.
That's diagnosed.
Well, okay.
I mean, I think that's the key, don't you think? I mean, most people probably are not.
Although I would
I think
imagine.
I think this is a high,
Diagnosed.
no, I think this is a high because it happens so rapid that,
Okay.
and it's on so many radars as far as, you know,
Neurologist.
Plus the MRI, he said, would
It's
show
pretty-
it,
it's
so
pretty
if you
classic.
do that and get a
Mm.
lumbar puncture, I mean, the diagnosis would be pretty high.
yeah. I mean, I think the standard of care is you get somebody in the office who
You're gonna get an
has
MRI.
cognitive changes, you're gonna do an MRI.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so you're gonna see some pretty,
Yeah.
even if it's early, you're gonna see some notable changes that are gonna be, wait a minute, this isn't just typical Alzheimer's. And even some of the more aggressive dementia cases, you're looking at, 3 to 5 years. So when you see somebody who has progressed in 3 to 5 months, that's sending off all
Gotcha.
sorts of bells and
Gotcha.
whistles, yeah.
Hmm.
And I'm sure some are missed, but I think it's pretty low. Their death may be attributed to something else before symptoms got bad enough, or, you know, two different things, but. And we'll kind of mention, we'll talk a little bit about the case today too, yeah. So, I guess I didn't have a very good slide on this, I apologize. So, the acquired version is medical procedures. So, someone has something done, undiagnosed yet, they get a brain biopsy, or, you know, they have some kind of spinal surgery or some kind of surgery, that then, originally it was tissue donation. So the dura is the lining that surrounds the brain and the spinal cord, and you can actually get a dural transplant into someone else, carries the prion with it. Corneal transplant, oddly enough, you don't think of that being a neural tissue, but that has a high rate if the donor has the prion that the recipient is getting. Most of those obviously have gone away now. We don't do those kind of things as far as transplants, except the corneal transplant, but again, it's pretty hard to make that connection. So it's very rare, but the instruments were the big problem, because if you did a surgery, it's not a living organism. So the typical sterilizing procedures used in a hospital do not kill a protein. So that instrument would still be contaminated into multiple procedures before the diagnosis of the original patient was found. So there have been cases, you know, identified where that has gone on, and the only thing you can really do is destroy the surgical instruments. So that's the acquired version. So this is the classic Creutzfeldt-Jakob versus the variant. Unfortunately, it wouldn't let me lowercase the V in variant because it was a headline, a title. But typically, when you see it, the variant will be a small v and a large CJD, just so you know. So classic, typically, again, as we said, the older patient, the average age is 68. You have a very short life expectancy of 4 to 5 months, and it is a spontaneous occurrence. There's no link, there's no identifying cause. We found no real risk factors other than the age. And versus the variant is a much younger disease typically. It's a little slower in that it's 13 to 4 months, and it's connected to consuming contaminated beef. So it's a bovine spongiform encephalopathy. The cow gets it, and then in the slaughtering of the cow, some of the neural tissue gets into your hamburger. And again, cooking it, as kills most living organisms, cooking it does not kill the prion because it's a protein. There have only been 4 cases of variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob in the United States since 1975. And all 4 of them were foreign travelers. So the United States has never had a U.S. beef consumption that resulted in the variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. 3 of those 4, the United Kingdom seemed to carry the mantle of the disease for through the 80s and 90s, as I recall. There was a lot of worry, there was a lot of screening, and we still screen our beef here too. But they found several, even that didn't get to humans, had to destroy the cows, destroy the herd even, because they just don't know enough about it. The problem with the disease is it's so rare, it's so unique, and we know so little about it because it happens so infrequently. But, so 3 of those 4 Americans had lived in the UK, so the assumption was that they consumed beef in the UK that was contaminated. 1 of them was 10 years prior. So they had been, the assumption was they had been exposed to the prion in the contaminated beef 10 years prior to developing symptoms. Most of them, the other 3 were not nearly that long, but that's it.
All right, thank you.
Wonderful disease. It's just
Well, the thing is if you get this, your luck is really bad.
oh yeah.
I mean.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what the percentage is, but.
Yeah.
Just don't wanna know, right?
I mean, well, 1,000 out, let's say 1,000 out of 335 million people, that's.
Yeah.
Man.
Is that, are the numbers, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And just again, just not knowing anything as far as the whys and the hows. I mean, you don't know anything you can avoid, you don't, you know, it's the one thing I can't say, eat well and exercise and you can reduce your chance of it. I mean, it's just completely random that, as far as we know now, completely random and don't know why it happens.
You cannot eat meat when you go abroad.
You cannot eat beef when you go abroad, would reduce your chance for the variant, true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there a higher than, okay, then, is there a higher rate in the UK then than there is here? Or is that a worldwide figure, the 1 in 1 million?
That is the US figure and it is the worldwide figure. They're identical, which is again, very unique. Usually
Yeah.
worldwide figures for most disease is higher outside of the US than it is inside the
Because
US.
it's so low.
But on this one is
Cluster long time
identical.
No.
Oh, okay.
I know I've never seen the case.
Oh, no, no.
And-
And again, we
No,
were
I know.
talking, prior to me coming, I remember when I came here 28 years ago, hearing stories from my partners of, I thought it was 3 cases, Jackie thinks it was 2, cases in Middletown in 1 year.
I
So
was
in the
here
same
then, but
year.
I never heard
See,
about it.
Jeff
No.
remembers.
Not that I'm aware of.
So
Jeff
there were-
remembers.
There were 2 or 3, yeah. And I bet that freaks you guys out too, having to handle that and deal with that.
And they were well-known
That's gotta be
people, weren't they,
scary.
Jeff? Yeah, cause Jeff and I remember, they were well-known people in
I
Middletown.
don't remember it,
Yeah.
maybe.
And I mean, the CDC and the State Department of Health were involved in investigating and what, you know, that kind of cluster is obviously extremely unique to think of, even if it was 2, in a population of 50,000 people.
Yeah.
And so I told Jackie, spent quite a bit of time last night trying to find articles on that, some kind of reports on it to have more information, but I couldn't find anything on Middletown. But a year and a half ago, Grand Rapids, Michigan had 5 cases of
Oh,
one.
boy.
1.6 million population, 90-mile radius, no connection of any of them. They'd all been at the same healthcare facility, same healthcare entity, but at different facilities throughout it, in that 90-mile range, and in 1 year, they had 5 cases.
Wow, I don't remember that.
What was the
Jeff, what do you
answer?
remember? What do you remember about it? Just that we had?
Right, so, they're wealthy people, they
Right.
travel a lot, they eat abroad. Anything that is used for serving meat or,
Mhm.
I mean, they went to places where monkey brains was
Mhm.
a delicacy. And you can't wash the dishes well enough to get.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, we're talking about surgical instruments, but you don't think about serving utensils are gonna be the same thing, that
Right.
washing them with soap and water is not gonna kill the prion.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, I mean, it's just our nightmare, but they always wanna do a cranial autopsy, which exposes all that.
What year was that?
Had to be in the, like, I'm trying to think, 1998, 7?
I came in 97, so I would guess it was probably early 90s.
96 maybe, yeah, something like that, yeah. But it was in the paper, cause we did have an article in the paper about it, and it was, so I'm gonna try to look, I tried to look on my phone, that's what I was looking. But I know we probably have it in our archive somewhere, because it was a big article.
When they do the dural transplant, don't they test for it, or is there no test? You can test for it, correct?
You can test for proteins associated with it, and you can see you can identify the prion itself.
To not do the transplant?
I think it's so rare that they don't go through that in all the dural transplants.
1997.
Was it 97? So it was,
97.
must have been right before I
See?
came. Holy cow.
Yeah.
So I don't think they screen every dural transplant, no, because it's so rare.
It's so rare, oh, yeah. And then you said that, it can form from the protein infecting other cells, and it's a malformed protein. How does a malformed protein infect other cells to become malformed?
It affect, and I don't know the answer to that, but the malformed protein affects other proteins to also then malfold.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and that's why, again, they use the term infectious, but it's not infectious in the way most of us think of infections. It's infectious in that it affects other proteins to then malform and just spread, in essence, like wildfire, so.
You know,
But I
and-
don't know how it does that. I don't know
Yeah,
the
that's
answer to that.
very interesting. The other cells, I mean, it's almost like sharing of bad information.
Yes.
Like, oh, you're doing that, I'll do that too. Like,
Mhm.
I jumped off the bridge.
And it looks horrible in animals, huh, in cattle. I mean,
Oh,
when
yeah.
they show the pictures in cattle, it just looks so completely scary. You know what I mean, how they are just crippled and they just point their.
So sad.
Yeah.
Ooh, well, thank
It's
you.
interesting.
Thank you, doctor. Any other questions or comments for doctor, gentlemen? All right, well, thank you very much. We will
I
proceed.
feel it's always my job to kind of freak you all out.
Well done. Well done. All right, so new business is next on our agenda. And we're looking at, we don't have any travel authorizations for this month.
That's correct. I do believe Carla, Dr. Genowine, and I will be going to the September conference. Yeah, but we'll have time. The September conference is that 22nd, 3rd, 4th or something in September.
Do it next month.
So we'll do it next month. They still are getting the agenda and all the information out. So at this time, no travel.
All right, well, thank you. And then the next item is the approval of the agreement between Butler County General Health District and the City of Middletown Health Department. This is the Public Health Emergency Preparedness Grant, FEP. And so we'll discuss it, but first we need a motion to approve. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? And I know Jackie will probably want to explain a little bit as well.
Yeah, and Chandra can help as well, but this is the grant that we approve every year. We've been receiving this emergency preparedness money since 2011, since 9/11, to prepare for emergencies, et cetera. This year, it was delayed and late because of funding, and some of the funding was held up because were they gonna fund it at the same amount, et cetera? We were definitely funded, but at a decreased amount. It's like 28% less than our last amount. However, because I think we usually get, Chandra, correct me, at 28,000. Yeah.
I think the last amount was just shy of 22,000.
So, and so now it's 17,000. But they have said that they may be able to give us money to make us whole in March, like spring of next year, is that correct? So we're just gonna wait and see, but deliverables have been reduced because of that too, because we usually have to do the deliverables, and on this page, it lines up with what we have to do. Sometimes it's a call-out drill, sometimes it is a tabletop exercise that makes us be able to complete, satisfy those deliverables. And so they have reduced that as well, so to be continued with this, but that's why it's so late. Usually we're approving this in July, I think, because the grant usually goes from June 30th to July 1st, every year, that way through the year. Anything else, Chandra, with this grant?
Other than they had, all of the deliverables, I believe, are attached to that contract, even the ones that were, X'd out, and put on hold. That being said, we're still gonna be looking at those because the likelihood is if they release that money, those deliverables are gonna come right back on the table. And I don't wanna be behind the eight ball. So we're basically gonna be doing status quo, in hopes that they're gonna release that 28% come March. So you may have another contract to sign.
And it's safe to say that we still do these deliverables so that we are prepared. I mean, sometimes we just don't get the credit for it necessarily with the money, but we do our call-outs, we do our drills, we participate in hospital drills and county-wide drills and Southwest Ohio drills and et cetera, for different scenarios, whether it's radiation or pandemics, et cetera. So we still will do that regardless of getting the actual credit or money.
You said we might get some more money in March. Do you know when we'll know if we're gonna get that money in March? Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, I don't think we know.
We don't know. Yeah. Yeah, alrighty. Any other questions or comments, conversation? All right. And with that, we will go ahead and call a roll. Thank you.
Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
Ms. Sipsey?
Yes.
Dr. Zollett?
Yes.
Ms. Lawley?
Yes.
Mr. Bonnell?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
All right, the ayes have it, and the motion passes. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda are our reports, and we'll begin with our Health Commissioner, Ms. Phillips Carter.
Okay, my report is in the packet. I wanted to bring to your attention the city council at the last meeting, I think it was August 5th meeting, did have a first reading on our resolution to give us appropriation of money for our septic program. So it's $175,000, and Sam presented it, and it went through just like normal. Everybody understands that I still will be trying to seek money to match it from the county. But it looks like that's all been done, so we're good with that.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I thought it was 150, it's 175.
150.
Okay.
150, right? I'm sorry. I was gonna say, I got.
I was happy.
I was trying to get that in there. No.
All right.
Missed it. And then, just to mention, I had stated last month that Carla and I attended a pay and benefits ordinance meeting. And I'll remind the board that at that meeting, what we usually do is state if we want additional staff, if we want to change range of a staff, like, or, you know, like, what do you call it, classification of a staff person, or like if we want, to change a position, because that all affects our budget. So you have that meeting, nothing changed, and then we just had a meeting, it's going fast, last week, I think, and that was with the city manager, the finance director, for our budget. Our budget, and every department budget normally, because you've had the first meeting, is put in there for 2026. And so it is a standard number that the finance department gives each department. And you have in that cost of living ranges, you have ranges, increases, whatever. But your budget is pretty much set. You go over the budget, you look at the numbers. What they are really wanting to know from us is if the revenue changes. If it goes up or down, we adjusted our FEP grant in there. And if it goes up and down, because that makes a difference of how that budget moves around. So, Mr. Richmond has agreed to meet with me next Friday. We are gonna go over our budget, and he's gonna help me simplify it, or say it's pretty straightforward. He's gonna ask all the questions from the board looking in at our budget, and how, I invite the mayor as well. And then we will meet with the full board. I'm expecting us to do probably an education, in place of an education, the financial piece. But that way, the terminology would be layman terminology, or he'll probably help me understand it. You know, they all have budget type terminology, encumbered, unencumbered, appropriations, all those things. So we'll try to get that so that you'll see it, so the whole board will get a good feel of this. I think it should be pretty simple, but we just kind of figure it out every year, and then we kind of go to finance to see if we're correct. So that's what we have in store. Probably, it'll be on the agenda, it'll be all, September or October, but in the packet, I'll give you the same things I give Mr. Richmond too, and so hopefully you'll be able to, but not support it, but look at it, yeah, look at it. It's kinda, it's sometimes it's as simple as, if they're gonna keep your department, they pay your staff, they try to make sure you're getting as much money or revenue as you can, and then they supplement the rest. And that's pretty much as simple in layman terms, but it gets sometimes tricky, political, et cetera. So you guys, you know, that's, everybody's budget is probably somewhat the same. But other than that, I think we had a good time at Kayla Harrison's. I think that was a good community event for anybody that went out when she came. Kayla Harrison is a judo wrestler.
Was she Olympian?
Olympian.
She's a judo two-time Olympian.
Two-time, yeah.
And she's also
Not
doing
wrestling.
MMA.
She's a wrestler, I think.
She also wrestles, I
Oh,
believe.
does she?
I think
Yeah.
so, she did.
She's
So
UFC.
that's already
Oh,
weight
yeah.
something, something, I don't know.
UFC.
UFC.
She's UFC national champion.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Fighting.
Ultimate Fighting Championship,
Yeah.
where they're in the ring and you can basically use any form you wish, but no biting, right?
No biting.
But like, you can
She
use any
was
form.
cool.
So
Yeah.
judo's
A lot of
helpful.
them are- yeah, a lot of them are jujitsu.
But she does MMA with UFC, and she's also a champion there in her weight class.
Mhm.
And she's just an all-around amazing human.
Yeah, she is. Her personality is big as her smile, and she stayed at the high school. She promised to stay at the high school as long as there was a line, and they were there after midnight, signing the posters and stuff, so.
Taking pictures and.
Yeah,
she was
so that was a smiley, that was a good thing, but that's it, that's all I have.
Oh, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Any questions for Ms. Phillips Carter? Comments? All right, we'll move on. Next is our medical director report for Dr. Genowine.
Okay, reportable illnesses for the month of July 2025. We had 29 chlamydia, 9 gonorrhea, 3 hepatitis C, 2 Campylobacter, 2 pertussis, 3 Candida auris, 1 Lyme disease, 1 hepatitis B, 1 hepatitis A, and 1 Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. And I didn't say, I was gonna say earlier, but that patient was 70 years old, and it was a month from when they started seeing symptoms to when he passed away. You know, my guess would be there were probably some mild things prior to that, but again, just very rapid.
What was his background, you know?
I don't know the answer to that.
He really didn't have, anything. He had no surgical history, no travel, recent travel histories that to
No
report.
family history.
No family history of
nothing.
dementia. Wife just thought he had a UTI, took him in for the first time, and then home, and then,
Huh.
continued to progress.
Wow.
And the test didn't come, they tested him and released him they, you know, did MRI, EEGs, nothing super duper significant, you know, some abnormalities with those tests. Released him to hospice after doing a spinal, tap, and the results came back at the end of the month, but he had already passed 2 days after discharge. So he didn't have his diagnosis until after he was already passed.
Doesn't matter, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he was
Yeah,
very
brain
rapid.
surgery.
Very sad.
Right, any other questions for Dr. Gentleman? Right, thank you, Dr. Gentleman. Next, we'll have our Director of Nursing, Ms. Shonda Corbett.
We've already covered FEP, so we'll keep you abreast of that, as changes come with the contract, and get it to you guys as soon as we know. We participated in the National Night Out. Saw Dr. Zala, he was one of the first people to come by the table. It was a good turnout. We distributed approximately 160 bike helmets, to children, that day. It was, a lot of kids, a lot of happy kids. A couple unhappy kids, but, you know, it's fine. Parents were happy at that point. And we gave out, we also distributed some Narcan, information on, mosquito and tick, prevention. Gave out mosquito dunks and off spray, to folks who needed it. And, you know, some coloring books, you know, lead, little board books for kids. So it was a good day. We had, a lot of people stop by, ask some great questions.
It didn't rain.
And it didn't rain, which was amazing because there was a
Dark.
worker from Meyer, so not that far away, who came by and she was soaked. And she's like, it hasn't rained here? And we're like, no. She's like, it dumped buckets on me when I was leaving work, and she came straight over. So it never came to us. It was great. Let's see, health fair. Planning is going pretty well. It's 6 weeks out before the event. We've got roughly 25 to 30 vendors signed up already. Donations for raffle basket giveaways. Carla's son ran downtown and picked up a soccer ball signed by the goalkeeper for FC Cincinnati. Is one of the things we're giving away. We have 4 zoo passes to give away. Still waiting to hear back from the Bengals and Reds for tickets, hopefully, or merchandise. So it's all coming along really well. Our next planning meeting is not next week. It's the 3rd Thursday at 9 o'clock at the event center. If anybody wants to come join and, you know, give any insight or suggestions for one of our final meetings. But we encourage you all to attend September 27th between 10 and 2 at Middletown Event Center on Central. So yeah, I'm excited. It's finally coming up. And I think that is about it for me, unless you have any questions about any other communicable diseases.
So you said the meeting's at, August 21st at the event center at 9 AM?
If that's the 3rd, yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
that
the
is the
3rd.
3rd. 3rd
Yes.
Thursday. Okay.
Is it 9 or 9:30? I always have it on my calendar. It's just, okay, let me double check. Some of my meetings are 9:30.
9:30,
I apologize.
Eastern, all right. And National Night Out was a lot of fun.
Yes.
And I heard what the boy who won the bike, he was so sweet. He's like, I won this bike! He was yelling at everybody, I won this bike, look at my bike, I'm so happy about my bike. It was so cute, he couldn't stop, it was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. All right, any other questions for Chandra, Ms. Corbin? All right, thank you very much. And then we will have our Environmental Health Director, Ms. Carla Eby.
So for the month of July, we received 5 plan reviews, Tropical Smoothie, Ollie's, for Ollie's Bargain Outlet, Jet's Pizza, The Treat Shop, and Gifted by Gross Event Center, which will be located in the old Holiday House on University.
What's that one?
Gifted by Gross, by Goss, sorry, Gross, no R in there. Gifted by
What is that?
Goss, it's an event center where you can rent
Oh, okay.
to attend for good weddings or showers or whatever. We were pretty busy for the month of July. There were 8 temporary events. Then we had the Balloon Challenge, Elks Weekend, Farmers Market, Little Middies Fest, 4th of July, Canal Festival, Thunder Fest, and there was a meat truck and tractor supply, so we had to work, inspectors had to work all those events, so it was pretty busy month. We have 1 septic failure out in the Amanda area. It's on Finley Avenue. It is Finley Street. It is a rental, so we weren't able to use our grant, but we're working with the owner of the property to repair, to go through the process, to have a site evaluation and to repair that system.
We are using the process.
We using
And
the
so
process,
it's-
but
yeah,
not
so
the
the process
grant.
that we had in the
So
packet,
does the
so it's
person
pretty
have to
cool.
move out of
Mhm,
the,
mhm.
Well, right now,
I imagine it's rented?
it is rented, the person, there's a family there, and right now, they're still living there, and what we're doing is making sure that the sewage is not above ground right now. It's actually a
Dry well.
cesspool, dry well. So, right now, it's covered, right, the hole is covered, and we're just requiring them to make sure they pump it as often as needed. We did get another complaint that there was odor, so the septic tank contractor went out yesterday to make sure it was covered really good, but there's nothing surfacing right now, it's just in a big old hole. So, they're just having to pump it right now.
What can be done with that one? I mean, I know some of them are not, you cannot fix them.
Right now, they're gonna, we'll have a site evaluation done,
Mhm.
which is supposed to be done this month, to check the soil, to see what type of system can go on the property. And it looks like it may be a, off-lot discharging system, cause the lot is less than, I believe it's less than a half an acre, so it's a very, very small lot. So, yeah, so they'll determine what type of system goes on the property, and if one can go
If
on
one
the
can.
property, yeah.
All right.
You know, how many people were here when we did the septic presentation?
What do you mean, here?
Joe, on the board, were you on the board too? Yeah.
Oh,
On the board.
Oh.
Because it was a good presentation. We might, if we're gonna start getting these, we might wanna circle back around and do it again so that you can hear about the terminology of like when she says a dry well or a off lot and all those kind of things. Just, the basic, we have a really good presentation that we can kinda let you know why we're doing what we're doing and especially if we start getting into.
well, how long do they have to fix this? I mean,
Well, as long as they're working on it, I mean, it's a process, like, it's been a month before they can get someone even out to go to do the site evaluation.
Really? That
So,
long?
That's-
yeah, so it's,
that doesn't,
yeah.
I think
And then-
I think what happens though, Dr. Solid, I know his face is looking like, yeah, how long
I
will
mean,
this-"
come on. This is-
Yeah,
you
but I
got
think if you
sewage,
can
right? Whether
control-
it's above or ground, I mean, that's, get
Yeah,
them
doesn't
out
sound
and close the damn
It's
place
been-
down and let the guy either fix it or get rid of it,
Now,
whatever.
see, that would be it, pumping is very expensive, so if they could maintain and pump it like more often or whatever to keep it under control, you can kind of let them do that versus displacing that family, but you're right, we are staying on top of it because, but normally, what you would have to, how often do you normally have to pump your tank?
About once every
Yeah.
3-5 years.
See?
Yeah.
So if you're pumping it every 2 weeks, it gets expensive, but, that's what you're doing to try to maintain the situation, I think. It's been hot, so it's
Well, I
probably
mean,
is
for what it
still
costs to
stinkier.
pump it every time, you can fix it
Yeah.
Or not, and that's
Or
the
not.
thing.
or not,
Yeah.
and then close the whole thing down.
Correct, and that's the whole issue. There are like 450 homes in that area,
yeah.
that have septic, and so it's just trying to deal with each one individually, because each one is different.
And right now, I think we got a report for the soil evaluation is costing about $2,000 just for the
See?
soil evaluation. And the pumping is usually around 400.
And the city pays for that, right?
No,
Oh.
no, this is rental. We
So-
are not paying for
So,
it.
so the
So
guy
the
that.
owners
The
pay
owners
for it.
have
So he
to pay
paid the
for it.
2,000.
He has to pay for it, yeah.
Wait, how much did you say the soil
It was
soil?
about, I think it was about 2,000,
And the pumping is about 400?
about, yeah, 300.
I'm curious, what does it cost to
Every
do
pump
a
is a
septic
lot.
system?
That
I mean,
could-
general or whatever, is there a general price or?
I mean, it depends on what type. I think, you could go up to like $20,000-$30,000 depending if it's a off-lot discharging
Oh,
system.
boy.
So it'll be,
Mhm.
pretty expensive. And then once, if it's an off-lot discharging system, they have to maintain a contract every year,
Mm.
with a service provider too. So that's gonna cost them as well, but we'll see. So it's a long process. I
Just
think-
while we're talking, why is it that they do not have, sewers? Why did the city never do sewers there? Does anybody
So
answer
we're
that
gonna look at
question?
we're gonna look at the.
Huh?
Well, okay.
It's always money.
Is,
Well, back when it was annexed, there was a conversation about connecting to sewage. If it existed,
Keep a poker face here.
but if it existed and it did not exist, correct? Am I correct? So therefore, there was never, they were already on septic at the time. And so since the sewer system did not exist, this is my understanding.
Yes.
Therefore, there was no,
Well, where I live on Courier Road was the septic, was a, septic
Oh, it's a little
system.
different on Courier Road.
No, huh?
It's a little different on
No,
Courier
no,
Road.
but what I'm saying is they,
They put
we had
sewers
to
in?
put in sewers, what?
I said they put sewers in those $1 million house areas? Look, I'm like this going, ooh.
well,
Well,
that
this
is.
was
Well,
30 years
excuse
ago,
me,
though.
but I mean, if you got 400 houses there that don't have
Like,
sewers,
I'm gonna
maybe
be
it would have
trouble.
been better off in the long run to put the damn sewers in and not have all this baloney going on
and that's.
30 years later, or
That's the
40 years
conversation.
later.
How long's it been, about 35?
Well, that area was annexed into the city in
90.
'96 or so, and they didn't have sewers. And
Yeah,
Okay, fine, but I mean.
So the city hasn't, I guess.
Yeah.
And that was one of the issues, it's like, this has been going on for
Yeah.
decades.
Yeah, they're worried about putting in smoke shops, but the sewers, they didn't do.
And that was a conversation, that's why we
Costs money.
wanted,
Huh?
Costs money.
but that's why we wanted to start talking about it, because nobody was
Well,
talking.
yeah, but I mean, in the long run, maybe it would have been a better deal. Well, whatever, doesn't matter now, I guess.
Right, so we're doing what we can at this moment,
Okay.
yeah.
And for this house, that's the whole.
Excuse me.
No.
no, I'm gonna have you sign the contract, and I can move in with you when I lose my, look, I'm like, he's like, why did you do this? I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, and almost all that area down there was annexed. So when you annex areas in, you get everything, which means we got their septics. Because the city of Middletown pretty much all has sewer. But it's an area over like, what is that, Thorny Hill area, Cincinnati Dayton Road, it's a few septics and other than that, you know, other than
Yeah,
that.
a few, that's the
area.
biggest area.
But that's the
Yeah.
biggest
We
area.
have about 700 in the city. Septics.
Yeah.
So they're kind of sporadic.
And they're
But most
usually
of
those
them
ones
in-
on the outside, yeah.
Yeah.
It gets complicated.
Well, he's right, it's money, I guess.
Mhm.
It is, not I guess, but it is, but it just
Mhm.
seems like, you know, you're throwing money down a rat hole or whatever you call it, I mean, it just.
I don't know what it was at the time, right? I think it was just because there wasn't any, it depends, the laws have also changed
The
since
laws
then.
have changed.
Like, it's been a long time since that happened, so I'm not sure why at the beginning, but here we are today, and so this is what we have right now.
Mhm.
And so we have this process, which is very helpful as things might occur.
You're absolutely right, because the laws has changed in our time where if a sewer is available, you must connect. Before, you could have just kept whatever you had until you failed. They also talk about floodplains, they also talk about dry wells, all of those in my, what do you call it, tenure
Tenure?
or whatever, yeah, has changed. So you're right, I mean, those kind of things, it makes it more difficult. I mean, Carla and I, in 2010, that's when we started getting into a lot of it with Lefferson Road. Remember Lefferson
Mm.
Road all had septics, now I think it's two.
Yeah, I know Lefferson Road, but.
Yeah, they all had septics.
Okay, so, Any other questions
right.
or comments or conversation about that? All right, anything else, Ms. Healy?
Oh, okay, and we actually do have one, home, we had 3 homes on, I believe it's Leverson. We had one that connected to sewers, so, we're narrowing that number down.
From 400 to 390.
Well, no.
700 to
Yeah.
698.
Yeah, 698, whatever, okay.
The sewage survey, which is in the packet, I did not, there were no points deducted, so that was great. I did have to complete an action plan, and that was emailed to Ohio Department of Health, and hopefully, they will accept the action plan. So, that's great. And, we are just continuing with Acela, meeting monthly with the office hours in the Southwest, some of the health departments. We also meet every Thursday to just continue, addressing the issues with the, software that we're now using.
Carla, let's bring up that the Acela, everybody's having a problem with it. I mean, this new program that the state is, switching us over to, every health department is
That's
having a
another
problem
thing,
with
we've
it.
been talking about that now
Yeah.
for over a year, it's the
And-
same thing, it never works, and you keep putting money in it, I mean, what is?
Well, this is a new program that was supposed to be able to do, you know
Yeah,
how.
but it doesn't.
Yeah, and it doesn't. And it's spending, everybody said their environmental director, and everybody's spending a lot of time on it. If we were to go back to health space, very expensive, very, very expensive, because the state paid for that as well. They paid for that for us, and so it's like $40,000 a year, isn't it? Something like that, maybe,
Maybe a
and.
little bit less for us, since
Yeah.
we're smaller, but it's expensive.
So then we would have to put that in the budget. So just be mindful, I don't know what they're gonna end up doing with it. We were a beta test group of health departments that are getting the kinks out. So hopefully it'll work, but it was almost as if people that programmed it really didn't know the programs. And so they're trying to get a whole lot of kinks out. So just FYI, I don't know what happened, but if we turn around and need more money or need to get another program or whatever, we'll let you know. But it's been very complicated, and Carla and Amanda should be, they sit on those calls and everybody is complaining. That's what's really hard, because everybody's having that same, it's not like we're just not getting it. And it's not like it's glitches, it's just.
And it's costing us more time we're spending a lot more time writing reports and trying to figure out how to use the system. So the time spent will probably, be increased, for next year for the cost analysis as well.
All right, thank you. Anything else? Or any other questions or comments for that?
Yeah, God bless America.
Do you wanna talk about the program?
Okay,
for the
yeah, vital stats.
Vital stats.
Mhm.
We also got a new program for birth and death certificates, so we went live with the birth last Wednesday, and then death will go live in September. So that's been a learning curve as well, so this one is nowhere near as complicated as Acela, it's just learning the new program, which works as it should, so that's great. But, we'll be able to do statewide issuance on death, and that's really the biggest difference in the two programs. I mean, of course, it's different learning how to do the birth, but, death will be statewide, whereas right now you can only do a certificate for someone who has passed away in the city limits of Middletown.
Okay, so are there any differences or changes for residents when they're requesting either one?
The biggest difference is that the certificate looks completely different now, it's on a different piece of paper and the layout's just a little bit different. I did notice on like half of the ones I'm printing, instead of it saying father's name, it says parent's name, so it'll still say mother's name and then parent's name for the father. And the seals are, it's like a raised seal on all four corners of the certificate paper, but
Okay.
that's the biggest.
So the process is the same for our residents?
They can come here, statewide issuance for birth, it's always been that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
And we have seen a big increase in the vital stat,
Mhm.
program. A big
Death is
increase in
going
money.
live, huh?
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, almost 10,000. I think we were looking at 10,000, almost like 10,000 a month, it's been higher. That's good.
Yeah.
The revenue, but it's because more people are needing probably their certificates, and it's easier to get them from here, so.
Okay, well, that's-
yeah,
that's
It's a
good.
lot easier to get, yeah,
We
so it's
can-
really good.
Provide that,
Mhm,
yes.
mhm, That's good.
Any questions for Ms. McDonald? Conversation? Thank you. Anything else from you, Carla, or anything?
That's it.
That's it, all right, well, thank you very much. So now we just have the board member open discussion. Does anybody want to bring anything up? Walk with the doc, anything at all?
Oh, yeah, walk with the dog. Thanks. I have handouts, but they're in my car, so that doesn't do me very well. It's this Saturday at Jacob Park, 9 a.m. Dr. Feldman from Centerpoint Health will be doing a back-to-school wellness talk, just general tips and tricks on getting back to school and being healthy for kids and parents.
Wonderful, thank you.
Would you like me to send, I can send that email out to the board. I
Yeah,
can-
if you wanna forward
I'll
that,
just do
yeah.
that to it.
Yeah.
You print them out, put them up.
Yeah, I created a Facebook event too, so if you guys are on that platform, you can take a look, on our Hospice Care Middletown page.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion?
Is there a way if you don't have Facebook, how do you hear about some of this stuff? I mean.
That's a
you
good
know,
question.
You know, they had this international thing, and, you know, I kept looking and looking, and, you know, then I asked Chandra, and I said, I'm not on Facebook. I mean, how do people like me, you know,
I'm not on Facebook either.
folks or whatever, how
Yeah,
do
well,
we
I'm not on
get-
Facebook either, I don't
get
have
the
any social
information?
media. So what I have to do is search things out.
I didn't see it in the paper either. I
Yeah.
get paper, I didn't see it.
And that's been the question for
kept
about 30
looking.
years now, like how do we actually get information to people because the paper has been declining, right?
Well, and the
Everywhere.
paper, by the way, it costs money to advertise in the
Money,
newspaper.
good God.
Well,
Yeah.
I was
So
gonna
if-
say to those that.
We're not advertising Walk with the Doc once a month in the newspaper, it's
Right.
too
Okay.
expensive.
So
Well,
those that say that I said we should start asking, how do you want to get your information? So when information is available, what's the best source for you all to get the ones?
His is the paper, but it's too expensive to put it at it.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
second way, I mean, is there, well, think about this, you guys, because we always hear this in the community that people didn't know.
Mhm.
So is there a way that you always go to Kroger's and it's a post-it board? Is it a way that you go to, I mean, we just don't know the way to get to everybody. Is there emails that you can list where the city can do a big email list? Or a text message? We have to start getting that information.
We are working on, the city is working on, a monthly newsletter via email. So that's a possibility. I'm not sure when that's gonna come out, hopefully before the end of the year. But again, I don't know how much it's going to list. But that's a great question. How do we find out about these things? You know what I do? I go online and I look, like, at people's pages, look at downtownmiddletown.org and their calendar. I look at the SORG, I look at the MAC, I look at, you know, yeah, I actively search, but that's me and not everybody's gonna do it. And then I tell people.
The city has a calendar too.
I look at the city events, yeah.
But like to what you were saying, like National Night Out, you had no idea about that. Now, it does cost money to advertise in the newspaper, but potentially the police department could reach out to the Journal News and ask for an in-kind sponsorship, and they'll potentially give them a free ad. So.
Well, I don't have the answer, I asked the question though, because again, you know, I said, I kept looking and looking and looking, and I couldn't find it. And then
Yeah.
it said, oh, it's on Facebook. Well, if you're not on Facebook,
You can still find it, you just have to search for it. You're not gonna get it fed in your feed. 'cause you
well,
have-
I'm not a whiz-bang on, you know, on anything.
It's an
anymore,
issue.
Well,
You know.
you were saying water billing.
Yeah, Carla had brought up, the idea of putting an insert in the water bill, and that's something that we actually talked about last year, like a year and a half ago, when we were talking about how do we get this message out to people who aren't online?
Well, after I see the water bill though, I pass out, so I can't see anything
another issue.
more
That's
after I get the water.
Make it the front page.
Don't
and the
make it
bill
so
could be-
high.
Maybe if you
Then
can
you
do
look
it
at the water
before I
bill
see,
attached.
before I see the amount of money, because then I'm, you know, comatose.
Yeah, but that was another idea, actually, to have that in the water bill, and it was discussed, and here we are, but we can always mention it again. All right, any other comments, before we adjourn? All right, then we will declare this meeting adjourned until the next Board of Health meeting is scheduled for September 9th, Tuesday, September 9th, 2025, at 7:30 a.m.